Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here we talk about everything connected to the monadic twin flame journey. All right. And like I said, I teach through the lens of the monadic twin flames, the third energy architecture, and soul led union, not surface level. So today we're going to go deep, and I really, really mean deep. And again, this topic was requested by you guys, the category one divine masculine. So many of you ask about the ones who ran into karmics and stayed with them, got engaged, married someone else, disappeared, blocked you, ghosted you, but whom you still feel every day. And yet, their soul is still tied to yours, and you feel that too. So this is a tough one, and it is very, very difficult to indeed talk about it, but you know what, we will talk about it. All right, that's why, for all the new subscribers, welcome to my channel, and for all of you who have stayed with me since the start, warm welcome to you. Thank you for all your lovely comments. Inspires me to create more teachings for you all. So, today's topic, like I said, is one that so many of you in this community have either lived through, are trying to understand, or have cried about at 2 a.m. while still sensing its energy in your dreams. And like I said, you know, this is the category who's got a karmic entanglement. And that doesn't necessarily mean that he's always going to be karmically entangled. All right, so we're going to talk about category one, the karmic detourer, the divine masculine who met you, felt the truth, saw the light, and then detoured into someone, something else, some version of life that looks functional on the outside but spiritually feels like walking through sand with a collapsed heart. This is the category where you'll be getting so close to your DM, and suddenly he will get into a relationship with someone else to the point of getting married or even being engaged, or some getting married only to get divorced in like 2 months. What I'm trying to say is, this is the category where, as divine feminines, you guys are the veil burners. So literally your role is to burn the veil. And I've seen this in with a lot of my clients before. They would come to me and tell me my DM is not able to come out of his karmic connection, or my DM was just getting really close to me, and then suddenly out of the blue there was some other girl, you know and he has chosen her, and they look like they're going to get married. Firstly, no one gets married in this day, in today's day, within like 2 months of courting. But I've seen it happen too many times with category one twin flames, where like somehow the veil burner, you divine feminines, have to be agitated to the core. It's like the final test. So often these 3D scenarios play out, and it is the most horrible feeling ever, because you're just like, you're thinking that, hey, you got this far and your DM and you're going to get together, and why does he choose someone else? All right. And like I say, here's the thing, he still thinks about you every day, and you know it. And in this category, often you guys have already talked about being twin flames as well. And he still feels your energy, and even when he tries to shut you out, even when he tries to convince himself it wasn't real, even when he tells other people you're just a friend or just some girl he knew, because the connection never goes anywhere. Only he did. So that's why today's topic, it's how is he going to transcend the karmic loop. All right, so that's the tragedy. And you see what many people talk about in the twin flame journey. They talk about fear, avoidance, immaturity, running, right? All they talk about is running, but they don't often talk about what actually happens when the divine masculine detours into a karmic loop, and how the detour is not a rejection of you, it's a rejection of himself. So let's go deep. The category 1 detourer is the masculine who veers off the path, not because he doesn't love you, his divine feminine, but because he's terrified of what you represent. You are literally everything to him. You are the activation of everything he was meant to remember, and he's not ready for that level of internal dismantling. Hence why he runs. But he doesn't run in silence. He runs into distraction, into karmic partners, into what he perceives as safe on the outside kind of dynamic that doesn't demand soul growth. You know, he can still be stagnant into, and that's why he often tends to choose surface level relationships that validate that version of himself he can manage, not that version of himself his soul is demanding him to become. And so he loops because the karmic path feels familiar. He loops because there's less risk. He loops because in karmic love there is no mirror, just performance. But here's what happens eventually. That loop eats itself. That karmic timeline begins to collapse under the weight of spiritual dissatisfaction. The karmic partner may be loyal, supportive, pretty, sweet, but she's not you. She's not his other half. She's not encoded with the key to his original blueprint. So even if he looks stable on the outside, even if he posts photos, shares smiles, pretend he's moved on, is going to, you know, internally there's a frequency void because his soul is tethered to yours. And what I want every divine feminine to hear is this: your presence doesn't scare him, your love didn't scare him. What scared him was what your love awakened in him. Because it wasn't just romantic love. It was soul fire. It was the return of the third energy. And the third energy, that sacred field that activates when both you and your DM unite, doesn't just give comfort, it gives confrontation. The moment you showed up, his soul remembered and his ego panicked. And so he detoured, often into the hands of a karmic, or not being able to leave an existent karmic connection. It was soul fire, it was the return of the third energy, you see. That's the thing. It kind of like brings him back. So no matter how much he detours another person or not being able to leave a lifestyle, a mask, anything but the truth, anything but the burning temple of self recognition that your energy ignites, he detours. So let me share a story, an example, you know. For example, both DM and DF get together. They're really, really close, and the DF thinks that she's heading to the next stage, but then he suddenly collapses and finds someone else. You see, you see where I'm going on, right? So this is when the karmic loop begins. It often starts right after when the connection feels too good, and often as the divine feminine, you're wondering what is going on. You know, you're like, it was really good, it was really joyful, then why does he panic? Why does he withdraw? Why does he disappear? Because happiness is a threat when your DM is used to pain alone. Joy is suspicious when he's wired for rejection. Love feels dangerous when you're still loyal to your trauma. And this is the spiritual path of the karmic detour. And so the karmic loop begins in not just a girlfriend or marriage, it's the entire frequency field built around avoiding the real work. And the karmic loop includes staying in unfulfilling relationships to prove something to the world, choosing people who won't challenge him to evolve, getting validation from external success while rotting inside, ignoring signs, synchronicities, dreams, blaming you, the DF. Because you trigger his wounds, right? But what he doesn't realize is that the loop isn't just soul construction, not his punishment. It's designed to exhaust him, to drain him, to show him the limits of false intimacy. The loop has to collapse because the loop is not sustainable for a soul that has touched divine frequency, and he touched it when he touched you. So that's why, you know, I will have I I want to use this example where the DM marries someone else, but then he still stays connected. Often in this category, the DM will always stay connected, and that's what makes it worse because you're like, why does he keep choosing the karmic every day? See, when the loop breaks, he starts remembering, he stops blaming, he stops projecting, and slowly he starts seeing clearly. At this stage, he might still be with his karmic, he might still be quiet, but he's not the same. He's no longer asleep in the loop. So this changes everything. This is the stage where he starts to unthread himself from whatever situationship he is in with the karmic, right? So this is what I want you to understand. He doesn't transcend the karmic loop by chasing you. He transcends it by facing himself. And that's when the real shift happens. It often comes with grief. Sometimes he collapses into remorse. Sometimes he finally admits what he's done, not always to you, but to himself, and that's very, very important. Sometimes he'll reach out, sometimes he won't yet until he's ready, until the energetic field shifts and you will feel it. The anger will dissolve, the projection ends, the silence becomes softer. And here's the part most divine feminines miss: you're not here to help him escape the loop. You are here to stay in your frequency, to anchor the third energy without compromising your sovereignty, to stop begging for breadcrumbs from a man who's choking on his own illusion. So the more you chase, the more you reinforce his loop. The more you stabilize, the more you become the signal. You don't need to fight for his attention. You need to stand in your truth. Because when the karmic loop fully breaks, he finally decides to come home to his soul. He will not be looking for the girl who cried for him. He'll be looking for the women who never abandoned herself. And that is when everything changes. You become the beacon. That's the you activates his return, not by waiting but by living. And if you're watching this right now and you've cried yourself to sleep over a man who seemed to behave in this manner, the forgetting is temporary. The loop is distortion, the soul born is untouched. It is not your job to pull him out of the loop, it is your job to outgrow that part of you that thought that the detourer meant you were unworthy, because it never did. And when he's ready, not when you beg, not when you sacrifice, but when he's truly ready, he will transcend the karmic loop on his own and return not as the boy who fled, but as the man who faced himself. Until then, the karmic field Let the karmic field do its work. Let it collapse. Let it expose its hollowness. Let it show him what happens when he chooses safe love over soul fire. And while that happens, you rise, you glow, you build, you reclaim. And this is how union is anchored. Not in fantasy, not in longing, but in energetic coherence. He loops because he must. You lead because you're coded to, and union happens when both of you finally come home to yourselves. So I know this is deep, so thank you for being here. And if you feel this in your bones, if your detour is looping and you're holding the field alone, know this: you're not abandoned, you're activated, and your union is not behind, it's becoming. So I'll see you in the next video, and if you're ready to receive psychic clarity, book your first time twin flame session below, or try my third energy activation to anchor your union field in separation. And I've introduced the black moon eclipse healing and activations conducted on the 7th of September. Again, guys, it's conducted on the day itself, so limited spots only. So you can book via my website and set a date, and I mean set a time with me on the 7th. Also, the 9 gods and goddesses portal healing and activations are also open, so you guys can start booking your spots. You know, it can be done any day till the 9th, and after the 9th you can do the post portal healing if you'd like. All right, then, see you all again soon. Take care and bye bye. I'll definitely try to do a part 2 on what exactly goes through his heart, mind and soul when he is, so I'll try to break that dynamic, so to go deeper. All right, take care. Bye bye.